Okay, so Stephen Payne,
Hello.
commercial director at Integral, one of the commercial directors at Integral, and we've just finished the 12th instance of the commercial acumen course.
We have.
How was that for you today?
It was good. The feedback was positive.
Yeah.
The session went well.
Yeah.
There was a flow to it.
Yeah, yeah.
Participants have rated it well. And it's partly due to the course design, delivery, the interaction that you gave to it, that we infuse into the program. This is quite a dry subject, or could be considered that way. It's really important to the business that these key governance points and contract issues are understood, and actually people are compliant and understand the reasons for that, and that's explained to them. But it's a heavy subject. To distill that down into a session of 6 hours across 80 people, across 12 sessions or so, and to get the level of traction for that kind of information and understanding, which is not necessarily something they want to understand in too much detail, but they need to understand. There's a certain challenge and a task to infusing a bit of humour, the engagement, I guess also the way in which we involve them in understanding through the tasks and the learning and the role play and the Q&A sessions as well. Actually, there's a skill to that. There's absolute skill to that, and I have to say, yeah, you come very highly recommended in the sense that you took what is a dry subject, you have moved it around, you've narrated it in a sense. Actually, there's a sequence and a flow to this. It's of itself quite complicated subject matter, albeit it's English law, it's English language, conceptual things we have to get across. We have to get across in quite an easy way for them. And it needs to flow so they get the A to the B to the C to the D. And you don't get that from textbooks, and you don't get that from most training. You either get people in the first 10 minutes or you don't. And actually what's happened here and what we've designed and your input into this too, just to give that extra traction and that extra, this is believable, that you need to know this, please understand this, and just hammer home those 20 odd points that we've discussed previously that you'll get from an all-day session, 6 hours, and just, these are the 20 points I need you to take. They're in this logical order. They do relate to each other, and I'm going to give you these experiences. And not just sit there passively. You're going to have these experiences just to take this on board, and literally learn something about extra context for their role that's absolutely vital. I can think of the amount of reduced noise that I will hear, and the amount of actual genuine inquiries and queries I will need to receive that will now happen. Yeah, it's good going.
That's very kind. So, I mean, we've done like 12 sessions now.
We have.
I mean, one of the things with L&D is like measuring any kind of impact at all. Have you noticed any changes?
Yeah, indeed. I get more interaction. I get more pertinent questions being asked. People now have that awareness, actually, these could be issues. They don't have the answers. The sessions weren't designed to give them the answers, right? Because this is kind of complicated subject matter at times, and it's nuanced and it's opinion-based. But they now know they should be asking the right questions and interrogating information in a particular way. And they find it less intimidating. Not just to contact me, but to actually interrogate the contract, understand their scope of works, what project brief was given, where they're in scope out, what a variation is, why cash flow is important, what preconditions on payment, set-off rights, limits of liability, all things that actually, law degrees, 6 months of your life learning, and in practice it's years to embed and understand and read, and actually we're giving that to them in a distilled form, but an engaging form.
Yeah.
It's law's dry, it's not supposed to be like this.
And I think what was really nice about the course was that, my role was just as a facilitator. My role was to create compelling content.
It wasn't just a facilitator.
And to facilitate and drive. Tell me about that.
It wasn't. No, it wasn't. Because there was course content from a previous course from last year, a course that I'd given, and it was factually what I needed to give, but it wasn't directed, it wasn't narrated, it wasn't put into the sequence, and it wasn't with the extra gravitas of the events and the engagement. It wasn't thought too much about an audience. It was given virtually at the time of the pandemic. So it's a very different beast, actually. In-person training, in a room, collaboratively, understanding there's different levels of knowledge. It's a very different exercise that we've just done. And that took formulation, that took reimagining of the work, and then absolutely, like we said, these are the key points. If we try and land more than these key points, we will fail. But actually, these are the key points, and if we get these in this order, people will take this in, and they will behave differently, they will know differently, I've definitely got better quality questions and questions at the right stage before the contract is agreed, before the risk is assumed. I've got greater visibility. They leave with more confidence, which is good, because they know you've got past this legalese hurdle of this language really difficult, someone else will do this for me, and I've got a burden released on me because I've now got 80 sets of eyes and ears looking for the right things from the contracts. That to me is a positive. You can't pay for that, or you can.
Amazingly, you can.
You can pay for it. It seems you can pay for it. So.
And what was really useful, what was brilliant was having you in the room as well, so that when they had questions that obviously I can't answer because I'm not the expert. I know you don't like to be called the expert. You're definitely the expert. Is that you were there in the room, and I think for them, one, having your input, but also the signal that it sends that senior people are prepared to put up their time to actually, to give up their time to help. I think that was just super useful.
There's no denying, either from within the business, the feedback we've had from the sessions or amongst ourselves at these sessions were really important. There's an identified need for this gap in the organisation about commercial knowledge at a very basic and fundamental level. What's a contract? What's a breach of contract? What are these particular terms? How are we protecting margin? How we should think? So, but actually, it's collaborative. It isn't just literally I turn up and feed in. It's actually, there is a kind of double partnership that you've formed with the client, and if you've engaged that rapport and developed that rapport over the session. So actually, the last session we've just done now, infinitely more different to the very first session.
Yeah.
But both got their merits, but this one is so much more. Defined, And like we say, this is not fun stuff. It's necessary stuff. With different course content, if it's business development, negotiation, you could even do that even to a greater extent in terms of the humour, the engagement, the exercises. But no, it's worked out optimally for me. So I'm quite happy.
Well, it's been great to sort of, get to know you, spend time with you, and I know you've travelled vast distances each time from Nottingham. I mean, I come from Devon, but and lots of people have as well, and that's been really sort of super encouraging.
To the extent that we've worked together, and I now know how you work, and I appreciate how you work, and the benefits I'm going to see and have been seeing, and thoroughly recommend your work.
Aww.
And that your ability to take something which is not necessarily your natural domain, law or English or commercial thinking, understand it, redevelop it, reimagine it, re-narrate it, put it in a sequence logical, put the exercises around it. That's top notch.
Oh, Stevie, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Really appreciate it. Thank you.
Enjoyed working with you. Thank you.
And you. Cool. Let's try that.